My favorite is probably Neville Goddard. Neville really is a master at showing you how when we go deep, get into that place of depth, then we're in the present moment. We're not imagining a future event if we're aiming to manifest a specific thing. We're actually experiencing it now. We're experiencing what we want in the present, in the now. Usually when I get to this place, this nowness, I just feel so good in it that I'm not imagining a specific thing. But you can. You can imagine, if you want improved health. If you go deep, you can imagine that health right now. You can imagine walking or being congratulated by a friend or relative about how healthy you now are. You can feel that excitement in the present moment. And that's how you can specifically manifest something from a deep state very easily on paper. But in reality, for a lot of us, for me, I can tell you, it almost seems like two separate things. Because like when I go deep, I'm going deep to go deep. And the recognition in and of itself is liberating. Going deep and then finding myself in a particular imaginal act is more difficult for me to do. And more difficult for most people to do in my experiences, working with them. See, the thing about Neville that I feel like a lot of people who enjoy his work don't understand, and this goes certainly for lesser teachers as well. I consider Neville one of the best, if not the best, manifesting teacher of the last, 100 or so years. What people don't understand about Neville's advice when he says assume a state and it will become real, what they don't realize is that that is hard to do for most of us, at least consistently, over and over and over again, because usually you don't just assume a state once and then have it manifest in your life. Of course it can happen, but usually it's a continual practice of doing it over and over and over and over again. And because of this, most people fail in applying this part of Neville's advice. His more theoretical framework about using your imagination in ways that are conducive to improving your life is much easier for people to apply into their life, from what I've found. And I've talked at length about this and written about it in books like Relax More, Try Less, Mindful Manifestation, and Manifestation Through Relaxation. All three of those books are me writing about ways of practically using Neville's advice effectively. And there's so many different ways to use Neville's advice and a lot of these manifesting teachers' advice in order to manifest a specific thing relatively quickly. But I have to tell you that most fans of Neville and people who are trying to apply his advice to manifest a specific thing, whether it's a large sum of money or, meet a specific person or get a specific job quickly, they are going to fail. There's a very, very high failure rate trying to apply Neville's advice. And that just needs to be out in the open. I think Neville would tell you as much. But it's harder to apply his advice today probably than it was back in his time, because if he was actually talking to you one-on-one or in a small auditorium, his certainty could be conveyed more clearly than it is than if you just, hear his voice on YouTube or whatever. But that doesn't mean what he's saying is any, less powerful or accurate. But just understand that there's a high failure rate trying to manifest specific things using a lot of these approaches that famous LOA teachers recommend. I mean, Neville's one of my favorite teachers, but I would not recommend trying to manifest a specific thing using the recommendations that he usually gives, like in 5 lessons, which are probably the most practical manifesting advice that Neville gives. If you want to find it in one book, is in 5 lessons, which is just a collection of 5 talks that he gave. And the advice is incredibly practical. And when you read it and you first get into Neville, you're probably going to get really excited. You're going to say, oh my God, I can do this. I can manifest whatever I want. But then you're going to try to actually apply it and fall asleep, in this state of fulfillment night after night, and feel it as if it is real day after day. And you're probably going to fail doing that. And I want to mention that because too much manifesting information that is out there, too much stuff that we see on YouTube and on message boards and on Instagram makes it seem like this is easy to manifest a specific thing quickly. And it's not. It's not. You know what's easy to manifest? This moment right now. Feeling good right now. You can manifest that. You can drop all the other overthinking going through your head. And there's many different ways to do that. I talk about that in The Joy of Not Thinking. Instead of trying to manifest a specific person or a big chunk of cash, drop all that and just manifest right now. And by that, I mean just be yourself. Relax into this moment. Even if you feel like crap, even if your mind is churning and you're, there's something wrong with me, those are just thoughts. There's nothing to do. Just be here now. You can manifest this instant. And if you can do this, relax into this, then you can do it again. And you can make it a practice to relax into this more and more. And that doesn't mean that you can't have specific things you want to manifest. You still can. And you can still use tools that Neville describes to manifest those things. Or use affirmations, written statements, or any number of manifesting tools to manifest specific things relatively quickly. That can work for you too. But I can tell you what can definitely work for you is manifesting this moment in the sense that everything is fine right now. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing you truly need to do. You are here. And here, if you just relax and let go a little bit, let go and stop taking all your thinking so seriously, you'll realize if you just get deep in this moment right now, that this is what you want. You already have what you want right now in this moment. And if you recognize that, it will also be much easier for you to recognize that what you have in this moment, you can also transfer to a imagined future event and see the feeling correlates, that it's the same feeling, this feeling of fulfillment. The feeling of fulfillment can come from simply being here now. The sense of fulfillment you want is manifest now. And if you manifest this feeling more and more in the present and make it a continual, consistent practice, more of what you want in your life is going to show up. But you don't have to focus on those outer things as much, nearly as much. You can just focus on now. And there's nothing wrong with now. Now is good. And as I said, if we get deep enough, we realize now is not just good. Now is God. And that is enough.